Storytelling is one of the most powerful tools you have to connect with your donors. A great story can inspire generosity, build trust, and show the true impact of your organization's work. But let's be honest, sitting down to write that impact story for donors can feel overwhelming sometimes, right? Where do you start? What details matter in the story? How do you make the story compelling enough to grab someone's attention? If you've ever felt stuck or unsure about how to craft the best donor impact story, you're in the right place. In this video, I'm sharing some simple, practical tips to help you create stories that engage your donors and make them proud to support your mission. Hi there, my name is Vanessa Chase Lokshin. I'm president of the Storytelling Nonprofit. I'm a fundraising consultant and an email fundraising copywriter, and I'm passionate about helping organizations figure out how to tell stories that connect with donors, build relationships, and ultimately raise money. Thank you so much for joining me here for today's video. I also create free tools like the Donor Comms Monthly Planner, a 16-page planner that will help you map out your donor communications each month to strategically align with your fundraising goals. You can download your planner over at thestorytellingnonprofit.com/planner. Tip number one, build your story around one person or one example. Now, I know that sometimes the impact our organizations have can be really broad, and we want to capture everything in that piece of communication or in that story. But in doing so, we miss the opportunity to be specific. When we are specific with people about what we've done, how we've done it, and the impact it has, donors and even our more general audience have a better chance of being able to wrap their minds around what we're saying. Part of the problem sometimes with impact is that if we're saying that people have helped 10,000 people this year, it's hard to imagine what that impacts look like on an individual level. But if we can say, like, here's an example of one person in this group of 10,000 that we helped this year, it really helps people understand the magnitude of that impact at the individual level, and they can apply that to the greater context of the work. So as you start thinking about your impact story that you want to tell, begin by thinking about one person or one project that you could build this story around. If you're looking for some examples, I'll link to a case study of videos that I have from Best Friends Animal Society that will give you some examples of how to think about this. Tip number two, spend time crafting a great hook for your story. The first two sentences of your story are called the hook, and they are crucial. They will determine whether or not somebody is going to continue to read. So a great hook does a couple of things. One, it introduces the stakes of the story. Two, it puts the reader right in the action. And three, it sets the emotional stage for what we're going to talk about. When you write and edit your story, I would encourage you to take some extra time with this portion of your copy and really make it shine. It makes a difference and can ultimately help more people read your story. Tip number three, show the transformation. If the point of an impact story is to show impact, we need to clearly show a transformation of some kind. So before you start writing your story, think about what the transformation is. Let's think about some examples. Number one, a student who got a scholarship. Before, maybe they weren't able to attend a certain college or university because they didn't have the means, the financial means to. Getting a scholarship meant that they could go to school, meant that they got started on some sort of career path. That is the kind of transformation, the linear process that we can show to people. Number two, a community park that's been cleaned up. Maybe before it was a park that people weren't really visiting because there was lots of garbage or other kind of things being dumped in the area, and it wasn't really a welcoming, great community green space. But because your organization organized volunteers, got some sponsorship dollars, you were able to organize a day where people came together to clean up this park, and now it's being used by families on the weekend. So think about what that outcome is that you want to portray in your story and work backwards. What was the transformation that happened here? What is the story that we want to tell, basically, about the impact itself? Once you know the outcome, your job as the writer is to really identify the before and simply show people in your story how the transformation occurred. That's the power of the impact story. Tip number four, show donors their role in the story. Now, if we're telling an impact story, chances are we want donors to understand that there was a role they played in making this story possible. So don't miss your opportunity to show donors what that is. So often I think that when I see stories and donor communication, there's this implicit assumption that if we say these things, if we show some impact, people are just going to connect the dots on their own and know that they were a part of this story, that they made something happen. No, that is not how it works. In communications, we want to take the opportunity to be as explicit as we can and really connect the dots for donors. We want them to come to the same conclusions we're making, and therefore we're going to make it crystal clear what that conclusion is. It does not need to be anything complicated. It could be as simple as a line at the end of your story or even the beginning that says, because of generous support from donors like you, we were able to organize this community cleanup day to restore this beloved park. That kind of level of clarity is necessary, and adding a line like that is extremely valuable in these types of stories. So, those are my 4 tips for you to help you craft a better impact story for your donors. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which of these tips will you use in your next impact story? Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.